Revelation 2286. From the 2nd of April 1942. Higher development opportunity in the afterlife. Help. The realization of a wrongly lived earthly change is unspeakably bitter for the soul that is now alive and puts it into a state of remorse that is both agonizing and discouraging. For it now sees itself deprived of every possibility to make up for what it has missed, because it feels that it is powerless. She does not yet know the possibilities of higher development in the beyond, for the knowledge of this is only a consequence of a complete change of heart. What she lacked on earth was love, which manifested itself in good deeds, and this lack of love is the cause of her now agonizing state. If it wants to ascend in the beyond, it must first awaken the feeling of love it lacks. The hardship of the suffering souls must have such an effect on it that it becomes willing to serve and tries to alleviate their hardship. But before that, an improvement of their situation is impossible, and often inconceivably long times pass before such a soul decides to serve in love. These souls' self-love is usually so great that they only think of their own suffering and have no compassion for the hardship of other souls, and then they cannot be released from their present state, for the law of love has to be fulfilled. This is and remains the first condition for spiritual progress. And yet, the path to ascent can be climbed so easily if these souls make contact with each other and try to alleviate their hardship together. For the will to do so already provides them with strength which is imparted to them by the beings of light who respect every loving feeling and are immediately willing to help them. This mutual help does not consist of earthly activity but rather in the exchange of their experiences and in the desire to enlighten. Understandably, the latter is only possible if the soul has knowledge, for what it wants to give it must first possess. And this knowledge is still very limited in such a soul, hence the willingness to help is also very minimal. Therefore the soul must have the desire to increase its knowledge in order to be able to help other souls. Then knowledge will be imparted to it in accordance with this desire, it will be offered the opportunity to take part in teachings, and if it is not completely hardened by its own adversity it will take every opportunity, for it also feels an increase in strength and a lessening of its own adversity with the acceptance of such teachings. Once the soul has taken this path, it inevitably strives upwards, for it is then happy to be able to give and now participates in the hardship of other souls, that is, it seeks to help them. This teaching of the souls, which are even less knowledgeable, is a gratifying condition which drives them to ever more brisk activity, consequently their distress comes to an end at the moment when they mercifully turn to the souls who are suffering with them. And people can contribute infinitely much to this change of thought and will, which brings liberation to the soul, if they sincerely remember those in prayer who cannot release themselves from the agonizing state of self-love by their own strength, if they impart strength to these souls through their prayer and thereby make the path to ascent accessible to them. A soul redeemed through prayer thanks the human being 1,000 times over for having given it support in complete weakness of will and wrong thinking. And with it the many souls who, through this help, are also relieved of their great hardship. Amen.